I have two interesting loads to tell you about. Last Friday, I was sitting in Donna, Texas, thinking that there's a lot of drivers stuck in Texas and we're not going anywhere. So we're just chilling out in the morning, did our stuff, we're sitting at Love's, and about 9:20, the little machine goes off here, and bam, you got a load, and you got to get there fast. So we did our thing, loaded up, did the pre-trip, headed out, headed up to outside of San Antonio, and I was a little nervous because I was picking up steel coils. I've not done steel coils yet. I know, I mean, there's some chains involved, and I had no idea what I was looking at. All right, when you don't know, what you don't know is what you fear the most. So I was a little worried, but I was like, it wasn't so bad in training, so we'll pick it up, we'll do whatever, and got there, easy place. And we got to pull inside this huge building, and it was 94 degrees, so it was nice being in the building because it was all shady and a breeze blowing through, so it weren't too hot. The people there were nice. Bunch of trucks in there getting loaded. Looked at some other guys' loads, and ended up getting his little baby coil, 9,000 pounds. And I didn't know much about it. Got one round coil called a suicide. It sits like a tire on your truck. I got four other coils sitting on pallets that you just strap normally. I was like, oh shoot, I don't know, just learn it all while I go. So I threw my chains, threw my straps, and unfortunately we had to tarp it. So we were 2 feet short from being able to tarp this load with one tarp. So we had to drag out two tarps. But yeah, you get paid for it. And it looked all right. So got it all done and rolled out of there at 42,000 pounds or so. Went from Donna, Texas up to Sparta, North Carolina. Well, Sparta is in the mountains. So I'm running 42,000 pounds, up and down like this. Delivered on the third day, did 2 nights, and then we got up early in the morning, had to do this mountain road, little bitty windy 25 miles an hour mountain road, uh, before daylight. And the funny thing about this story is I passed the YMCA camp that I worked at one summer when I was in college in, like, I don't know, in the 90s or 80s. uh, Camp Cheerio. We passed it. I was like, oh my gosh, there's where I worked. No wonder this all seems familiar to me. Anyway, it was kind of cool. I thought I remembered all that. A beautiful place. GPS and Google both went berserk when I got into the town, Sparta. Everything was laid out for me. I thought I knew where I was going, and all of a sudden they just both went crazy. And I followed one of them into this darn neighborhood and went through the. I was worried, but we got out, got to the building. The guys were all nice. Uh, and I was like, oh my God, they're doing wood trusses here. I was like, I got steel coils. What the heck are they going to do with steel coils? I thought I was in the wrong spot. Get out, get in there, and sure enough, they used the coils too. So we got everything undone. They unloaded really fast, and I asked them, "Can you show me how this all works?" Because they took those steel coils I had. Those steel coils were colored. They had a color to them for a roof or siding. So they had a machine, like big 10,000 pound coil goes on this roller like toilet paper, runs through this press, and it smashes down and makes the metal roofs or the metal siding. That's what they made there. And they made building trusses there. So they pretty much built a whole house or a building inside and rolled it out and put it on a truck and took it somewhere. So that was really cool. We got to look at that, and the guys are really nice. And I got unloaded, and you're supposed to send in a call when you get unloaded. So I sent that off. And before I even had half of my stuff put away, I got another load. Like, got to run, got to roll. So I threw all my stuff in, rolled up to Mount Airy, North Carolina this time. So back down that windy road. Leaves are beautiful. It was great seeing it in the daylight, and I was not loaded, so going down the mountain wasn't nearly as bad. Beautiful leaves, beautiful place. Oh my gosh, so pretty here. Well, we got to Mount Airy, no problem. And I was like, oh, they have a bunch of slinkies. Maybe I'm getting a slinky. And I looked at my load notes. Over dimensional. That means it's too big to fit the trailer, and you got flags and you got permits, and it's just a huge pain in the butt. Oh my gosh. And so the guys are pretty cool, you know, and I drove back, had to back a long ways back in there to this spot. And they loaded this big rebar fence stuff that they make that goes in like the freeway or the interstate or a building, I guess. You put it in concrete and strengthens it. And it's 11 feet 9 inches. I'm sitting at 11 feet 9 inches. My trailer is 8 foot 6 inches, and I have 19 inches hanging off of each side. So these guys loaded this stuff on, and we were looking at it, and it was not straight. And it measured, it was like 22 inches off on one side and 16 on the other side. And so we got the guy back, and it was just crooked. It was like one side was up further to the front than the other. So, they were pretty cool about it. They just moved it, and we got it looking better. Took a little while, and got it to where it was 19 and 19, which is what it's supposed to be for the permits. And then with these permits, you got to go make sure you read them. You can only travel in the daylight, sunset to sunrise. You got all these roads you've got to go on, which luckily mine is mostly just the interstate. Pretty easy. Took a long time to secure it. I had to crawl up on it. Sharp edges, just a pain. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's absolute pain in the butt. I can't see out my mirrors. It's only 30,000 pounds. So I get all loaded up. Yeah, I'm pretty frustrated. It was pretty frustrating. Luckily, it wasn't hot. Thank God it wasn't hot. Thank God these guys are nice here. So I'm pulling out, I'm turning the wheel and shaking it going down this dirt road because I want it to move and shift so I could retighten it. Because it's hard to tighten these straps too. It's terrible. So I can see it moving and wiggling. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this thing? It's nerve wracking. So I pull up to go get my paperwork. They come out, I tighten up everything again, uh, get it locked down. The guy's nice. And I got these boards sticking out 3 or 4 inches out of one side. So you get to chainsaw, ask him, can you cut these boards off? So it's not like illegal or something. He cuts the wood off. I got it all settled, and I got the sheet, and I says, all right, I'm loaded. And I sent a message in, and they sent me back a message saying, okay, you're supposed to drop off at 6 a.m. Well, it's 2:30. I can only drive in the daytime, and I've got a 5-hour drive to do. So that ain't going to work. So I called him up and talked to one of the managers, and the lady was like, oh, I understand. Okay, it worked out perfectly. She got it to where she gave me till 10 o'clock or so and said it was like first come, first serve, not a big deal. And so I drove a couple of hours. It's very difficult driving, you got traffic. You're on the side of the road trying to let people by. And I was like, oh crap, I'm stuck between a couple of places I could stop because I got this huge load. I can't park in a regular spot, or I'm going to run out of time to get to the only truck stop that's big enough for me to park at. So I ended up, I only had an hour and a half left on my clock anyway. So I was like, well, I can't make it the 100 miles to the next truck stop. So I pulled into the rest area, hoping that they had a spot, and they did. They had a perfect spot for me. I'm way on the side. Nobody's going to hit me. I stopped with an hour and a half left, and it gives me 3.5 hours to get to where I'm going. So I'm going to I got to start at around 7 o'clock. Sunrise is 7:20. First light is 7:10. Sunrise 7:27. So I'm figuring I'll pull out here at 7:10, and I'll roll in this place 10:15. I don't know that anybody's going to be worried about that because it's oversized, and you get what you get. So anyway, we're here. It's a 2 new loads, coils and over dimensional. Kind of cool to get experience with it, but I'd have to say that I hope I don't get another over dimensional for a while. Anyway, that's all, and we'll talk to you the next time and see where we go come tomorrow. Maybe we'll get us another load somewhere cool for some really pretty leaves. I hope so.